Hello, I'd like to talk today on this video about the ethical side of the fruitarian diet. There's a lot of videos about the health benefits of a fruitarian diet, lots of information about the environmental benefits, the huge environmental benefits of a fruitarian diet, but there's not so much information, I feel, about the ethical side of the fruitarian diet. And for me, that's a very important part of the fruitarian diet. I like the diet because it involves no killing. No direct killing of either animals or of plants. Though obviously there is some indirect killing, because in the transportation of our food, animals and insects are killed, and if sprays are used on our food, insects and plants and animals are killed by the sprays. So for that reason, I try to eat as much organic and locally grown produce as possible. I think it sometimes can be hard when talking about the ethical side of the fruit diet, because I feel that some people get defensive when you talk about killing plants. And this video isn't about to attack anyone or, sort of say that they're not a good person or anything like that. It's just looking at the fact that some people do believe that plants have feelings. Some famous scientists have looked at the fact that plants do experience pain or emotions in a very similar way to animals, and one of these was a wonderful Indian scientist, Jagadish Chandra Bose. And Bose was a very humble man. He's not so well known, even though he was far advanced in radio technology, more advanced than Marconi. He didn't want to put out patents on his inventions because he was very humble. And Bose devised an instrument that would either connect to animals or plants to show emotions, and he found that plants had very similar emotional responses as did animals. So they had joy, excitement, fear, pain, and they showed those on his instrument, which measured those emotions. And another example is in The Secret Life of Plants, which is an amazing book that was published in the 1970s. And it shows how plants are so fantastic and have all these responses that we might not realise. And in one experiment, there were two plants. One was destroyed by a person, only known to that person that they were the murderer. And then the other plant was wired up to a lie detector. And this was done by a guy called Baxter, who was an expert with lie detectors. And when the people involved in the experiment walked past, there was no real response from the surviving plant, apart from when the murderer, the person who had destroyed the brother plant, walked past, the lie detector went crazy, just showing how affected that other plant was. So I do believe that plants feel emotions and pain, and it might not be in the same way as humans, because how can we know? How can any of us know? Because we're not plants. And I think it's very easy to see the pain, to hear the pain, to feel the pain in here when we see animals suffer, and it certainly is, really, really horrible. And I think it's not so obvious with plants because they don't have the same responses, because they're not animals. And I think it's easier for a lot of people to identify with animals because we are animals, especially the mammals, the fluffy mammals, the cute mammals. And a lot of people can't identify to insects in the same way, that they'll not eat animals, but they'll kill ants because they don't identify with ants in the same way as they do with a cow. And similarly, people don't identify with plants in the same way as they do with animals. But I don't think it's always clear-cut. I don't think there's a hard line, because I know for myself, if I see a small insect being squashed, I won't feel as much pain at that as if I see a huge, old, beautiful fruit tree cut down. So I don't think there's always the hard lines there. I mean, I know for sure when I see the trains go past full of cows going to slaughter, that's horrible. I hate it, and it really affects me. And I know that if I saw those trucks going past full of broccoli, it wouldn't have that same, effect on me. So for me, the fruitarian diet is an ethical diet, and I feel very happy with it. It's a very symbiotic diet. The tree or the plant or the bush gives us this beautiful fruit, and in return we spread the seeds. The plant wants its fruit to be eaten. It doesn't want its leaves to be eaten. It doesn't want to be pulled up out of the ground. But it does want its fruit spreading, because the plants can't move. They're not triffids. So they need somebody else to disperse their seeds to a good growing place. So I really think that everything on this planet is all part and parcel. And I think plants do have feelings, and it might not be in the same way as animals, and it might not be so easy for us to see and feel those feelings, but I think it's something to take into consideration. I think it is a very big part, for me anyway, of the fruitarian diet. Thank you very much for listening, and have a beautiful, peaceful and happy day. Thanks.